Lonely Monk Productions. Welcome to Too Old, Too New, the music discovery podcast that brings you something old, something new, something Nate, something Bruce. I'm Nate Runkle, host of the Yo That's My John podcast, and with me, as always, is my good friend Bruce Warren from WXPN. The premise of this show is simple. Each week, we bring you 2 songs apiece. One new song that has been metaphorically spinning our turntable platters, and one old song that we believe still absolutely matters. Remember when I couldn't get that out back in the day?
You are just smooth as silk, dude.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm fantastic. We're rolling into Labor Day weekend, which for some means an end and some means a beginning. And for me, they mean both. So there you go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know if you heard the news or not, but today I just heard that the Kelsey brothers sold their or the rights for 3 years of New Heights to Wondery for $100 million. And I would like to take this opportunity to tell Wondery, Bruce and I can be bought for $1 million.
That's right. That's all it takes. And a big congrats to Jason and Travis. And all I got to tell you is next time I see Jason in my neighborhood Wawa, because he kind of lives in the same neighborhood, I will not say no when he offers to pay for my hoagie. We'll just put it there. But those are the brothers that we're super excited about. But there's another set of brothers, right, that sort of hit the news today, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
There certainly is. Look at you threading the show. Well, you want to hear a segue? How about this? So I also just heard today that the Papa Kelsey was on a podcast and said that Travis and Jason are reuniting on the new Christmas album that the Philly Specials are working on this year. And the reason why that's awesome is because the last time they went to number 1 with their cover of Fairy Tale of New York. All right. And of course, Fairy Tale of New York is by the Pogues featuring Christy McCall. Christy McCall, who wrote the song They Don't Know. Do you see what I'm doing here, my friend?
I love it.
I work it. So my new pick this week is kind of a new old. I don't know how to kind of classify it. It's new. It just came out. But Lydia Loveless recorded an album in 2014 entitled Something Else. And she recently re-recorded the entire album as a piano ballad reimagining and called it... the original was Somewhere Else. This is Something Else. Okay. And both versions end with a cover of Christy McCall's They Don't Know, which was probably made famous by Tracy Ullman in the 80s. If you've heard the song, you probably know that version. No?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I'm glad you noticed my what?
Uh-huh. Okay.
You know, I seem to remember missing Tracy Ullman for some reason,
really?
Missing that whole thing. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're
Keep
good.
Going.
Allow me to say, though, in the video, there's someone you might know. It's a little-known actor who makes a cameo. I believe his name is Paul McCartney. Okay, so... but
I'll check it out. I did not know that either.
So Something Else came out on Friday, and I started listening to it, and I immediately texted Bruce this cover because it's absolutely beautiful. The entire album is beautiful, and I want to read a quote on the reason why this exists, this album. And it's from Lydia Loveless. And she said, quote, "I discovered a lot of very tiny, practically illegible scribbles by a very angry person who seemed to hate themselves and everyone around them. I didn't like much of what I was reading. The me of 2012 to 2013 was drowning in pain and insecurity and in my own press, pissed off that nobody could see me for who I really was, what I had really been through, and how hard it was to be me." Okay. And it's something that before I even, hearing the album, before I even read that quote, I was thinking about, because what this version of the album feels like is, the original version does have some of that anger and some of that edge. And it's that kind of like presentation that somebody who is hurt and damaged kind of puts on a face to kind of lash out and protect themselves. Well, this feels like that person looking back and feeling compassionate for that person and the pain that that person was going through. And I think that's why this album hit me as much as it did, because I was listening to these songs with a whole new spectrum, including a cover that she didn't even write, which was a very long way to get to. Let me play a little They Don't Know.
I wasn't too sure of it. I was gonna. Oh wait, I don't have a watch. I'm just kidding.
But here's a little They Don't Know by Lydia Lovelace.
All right.
Got no need for living in the past. Now that I found good love, I'm gonna make it last. I tell the others don't bother me, 'cause when they look at you, they don't see what I see. So I don't listen to the wasted lines. Got my eyes wide open and I see the signs, 'cause they don't know about us. They've never heard of love. No, I don't listen to the wasted lines.
It's just a perfect song. It really is. Like, it's just a beautiful composition. Christy McCall wrote it kind of as her Beach Boys song because she wanted to layer vocals and stuff like that. And I feel like taking those vocals away shows that it's not just a production track, that in its essence, it's just a very well-written song.
Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it is. Totally.
It's killer. Did you get a chance to listen to this album yet?
A couple songs. I've been too busy listening to the album that I'm going to talk about next. I'm sorry.
No, do it.
There's so much. We're inundated with music all the time, which is a good thing because we're music fans. I did a very deep dive this weekend on four albums. And the winner of that pile of 4 was the Wishy album. A great little record called 777. I'd love to get records that I just like, no skippable songs, start over from first track to the last, and you just listen over and over and over again. There's guitars galore, there's melodies galore. It's not power pop, it's not power punk pop, it's not whatever it is, but it's all those. You know what I mean? There's elements of shoegaze on this record. The vocals are sort of buried sometimes, but sometimes they're very clear. But ultimately, to your last point, it's about the songs. And did I say they're from Indianapolis?
You did not.
Okay, they're from Indianapolis. Whether that matters or not, I have no idea. But that's where they're from. So let's listen to this. It is called Persuasion. Rock and roll. And roll.
You talked about 4 albums that you were deep diving on. I'd like to point the listeners. I always say about the Substack, but check out Bruce's Substack for his 6 songs that he just put out. Specifically because one of the songs is the album I've been obsessed over since Friday, which is the new Illuminati Hotties album.
That is also an unbelievable record.
Like I'm just blown away, mostly because of kind of the level up that Sarah did with this album. Like, I've been a Illuminati Hotties fan for quite some time, but this album is so consistent and so cohesive.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal. So shout out for that.
Yeah, that's also a really good record. So that was one of the 4. So 2 great choices again this week. Beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful.
And speaking of 2, you can't talk about 2 without talking about 2 brothers. You can, if you're watching the video version, you can see them on my shirt, even though the shirt says the Tisberries. Shout out to Tyler. But the Oasis is back together.
Did you see that coming at all?
I didn't, but you know what? Now, like, it's one of those things in retrospect where, as much as they were talking about each other in the past few months, I kind of feel like, are you familiar with the wrestling term kayfabe?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay. I swear that part of this feud in the past year has totally been kayfabe.
That's a very interesting hypothesis.
You know, and I'm not saying it has always been, because it
Right.
clearly hasn't. Like, there's
Right.
definitely animosity between the two. But
Right.
the past few months, the way they've kind of been, I don't want to say needling each other, but like g- orbiting each other's conversations.
Okay.
You know what
All
I mean?
right.
I kind of think that this has been in the works for some time now.
So, are you going to get tickets to see him over in the UK?
You know, I struggle to make car payments, but I would really like to. That would definitely like to. I would
This
like
could be
that.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be something. All right. So, Oasis, Blur, where were you in that?
I was always an Oasis guy. As a matter of fact, I was an Oasis guy over Radiohead. I don't know if you remember, like when they broke, MTV kind of was pushing Blur, Radiohead, and Oasis as like the new British invasion. And I was Team Oasis the entire way. I loved all of them. Like, you know, definitely no slouches in that. But I was an Oasis fan, and more so than that, I was a Noel Gallagher guy. Like, any song that was like solo Noel Gallagher was like my shit. Specifically because his voice was closer to my range than Liam's.
Right. Right. So, you'll go see him though when they come to Philadelphia, or
Oh, if they come here, I'm
Right?
there. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. For sure. I've never seen them. I was supposed to go to the Brothers in Arms tour when they were with the Black Crowes, which is
Right.
like the most brilliant tour idea ever. You know, just the
Right.
warring brother tour. But
Mhm.
how about you? Were you Oasis or Blur?
I was sort of neither and both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Although I would probably lean towards Blur over the years. They're of those two, they're the band that I probably listen to more than the other. But more than the other and the other, Radiohead. So,
Yeah.
you know, like, I'm sorry. When OK Computer came out, man, that just fucking slayed me. Like, that just was like reset, like the whole conversation for me anyway. And then when King of Limbs came out, it doubled down on that, you know? So I always say, like, particularly with Radiohead, on any given day, either one of those two records could be the greatest Radiohead album. It all
Yeah.
depends on, like, you know, and I would say the same thing for the first two, you know, Oasis records, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think consistently, I mean, clearly the fucking hits are the fucking hits, right? You
Right.
cannot, the undeniable, right? But song for song, track for track, compared, again, this is my own personal opinion, to what Blur delivered on their albums, song for song, track by track, I just thought Blur were the more obviously creative band. Did they write songs as good as? Well, the fans tell that story. So again, it all comes down to personal choice.
Yeah, well, you know what's one of the things that I found really interesting is we had this conversation about REM where I said I felt like there was REM erasure, and it was like I was starting to feel that way about Oasis. But again, the way they played this reunion and the reunion news, and you know, kind of starting with the anniversary of Definitely Maybe,
Right.
and the release of that, and kind of the way they've been working the socials and stuff like that, I feel like they have almost reclaimed their spot as, like, you know, one of the world's biggest bands.
Yeah.
With the way they played this out, you know, and I think just doing these, you know, few shows in the UK is super smart because it also creates that scarcity that makes people, you know, feverish
Yeah.
for an act that maybe 2 weeks ago, you know, Noel's been here with the High Flying Birds or whatever they're called, how many times, and nobody gives a shit, right?
Nobody.
So,
Yeah.
you know, it's something about, which is funny to me, as I said, because I'm a Noel guy. So, like, I used to always like when Noel did MTV Unplugged by himself and did all of the songs, I was like, this is the fucking band. Do
Yeah.
this. Who needs Liam? And then it turns out Noel does.
Okay.
Noel needs Liam.
All right, but Nate, like the real thing I want to know is what the fuck is up with Bonehead? That's
Right?
That's what I want to know.
they did not release enough information with this.
No, definitely not. And he's been very quiet. I've been monitoring his social media all day long. Like, I'm waiting for something from Bonehead. So
if I were him, I would have unplugged the phone and went away to the cottage for a week and just, because he probably doesn't know.
well, hopefully it was smart enough so that in those early recordings, he's still making a little bit of money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea how band members get paid. So what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but like, you know what I mean? So Oasis are going to go on to become like the kings of streaming at this point. I'm pretty certain, like, next week we're going to read like, number one most streamed thing, top 5 songs they're going to kick T Swift off of the streaming charts. That's what usually kind of happens here, in situations like this with really super, super, super huge bands. So more power to them, man.
Yeah. So we got some old picks from Oasis this week. You want to go first?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going deep track. I'm going deep track Oasis with a song called Stay Young. And I always love this song because, as some of you may know, I'm a huge fan of The Clash. And the album Give 'Em Enough Rope had the whole album is amazing, but 2 incredible songs. One called All the Young Punks and Stay Free. And I remember when I first heard Stay Young by Oasis, that song kind of reminds me of both of those songs, right? Like, stay young, stay free, stay independent, stay rocking, do your thing. So let's check it out. It's called Stay Young. It's Oasis.
Question your heart and your soul and a thing that is not quite right. Hey, stay young and invisible, 'cause we know just what we are and call what may. We won't stop the blood, 'cause we know just what we are.
We know just what we are.
Exactly. And, listen, it's kind of, and I'm not saying this negatively, it's Paint by Numbers Oasis, but Paint by Numbers Oasis is pretty fucking good, even on the deep tracks,
Yeah. I've been doing a re-listen because obviously I'm one of the many people who's going to boost those streaming numbers. But like
Same.
but Noel's guitars, I feel like are something that I've missed because like the way that he they scream, they absolutely scream in places where they probably shouldn't, like it probably could work as an acoustic song or something like that. But he is just, ripping, and those things resonate, and I love it. Well, which is especially odd for me to say because I picked a acoustic Noel track, which probably shouldn't have come as a surprise. But my pick this week is "Talk Tonight," which is my favorite Oasis song. It's one of my favorite songs, period, ever written. It was the B-side in the UK to Some Might Say. It was on that single along with Acquiesce. In the US, it was the B-side to Wonderwall, which is how I came across it because I was a single guy back in the day. I used to love singles, maxi singles and stuff like that, import singles. As a matter of fact, I probably still have like thousands of them in storage right now. But Talk Tonight always spoke to me because there's a line in there that I always loved, which was, all your dreams are made of strawberry lemonade, and you make sure I sleep today. It's just it's just the kind of listful thing. And then you find out, you read a little bit about it, and it was an experience where Oasis was playing in Los Angeles. They played the Whiskey. And it was a horrendous gig, and Noel left the band and then went up to San Francisco, met some girl who literally, it's the song, took him to a park where she used to play when she was a kid. They listened to records, and she was really big into Snapple Strawberry Lemonade.
Beautiful.
So there's where the line comes from.
That's it.
Snapple. If I were Snapple, that should be a Snapple fact under her cap. But
that's a good point. It's a good point.
I love me some Talk Tonight. So let's listen to Talk Tonight by Oasis.
I'll never say that I won't ever make you cry, and this I'll say, I don't know why, I know I I wanna talk tonight until the morning light. But how you say
Yeah, I'm so glad they're back. Like,
Yeah.
they're one of
Yeah.
those bands that I didn't realize I missed as much as I did. Until,
That's a really good point, Dave. That's a really good point. You know, I'm gonna have to add that song to I started this morning an Oasis Deep Track Spotify list. And I don't know if you know these songs, but I got Stay Young on it. Let me ask you if you know these. You know Cloudburst?
That one I don't know.
Okay. You know The Shock of the Lightning?
That one I know.
Okay. Cast No Shadow?
Yes,
That's a good one, right?
that is a good one. I used to cover that.
Oh, okay. That's good. Whatever?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay. So Whatever, right? Like, I call that a deep track because, like, it was huge in the UK, but it did shit here.
We should pick a theme sometime, which is songs that were huge everywhere but the U.S. Because I have a
I like
I
that.
have an artist who is enormous across the globe and actually moved to the United States because no one here knows who he is or gives a fuck.
Is that Robbie Williams?
It is Robbie Williams.
No
It was
way.
1,000% Robbie
Are
Williams.
you kidding me?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I love Robbie Williams. No diss on Robbie, man. I saw him, God, so many years ago when his debut album came out on Capitol Records at South by Southwest. And it was chaos. It was just unbelievable. I cannot believe I actually guessed
You
that
named
right.
it. It was perfect.
We should totally do that. Okay, what am I missing? Like, give me another deep track by Oasis. What else is out there that you love?
I think it showed up in the Life Less Ordinary soundtrack, but Round Our Way
Okay.
is
All
a
right.
good one. It's got
Round-
horns in it and stuff.
Round Our Way. All right. Well,
think
I'm
that's what
going
it's
to
called.
definitely check it out.
Pretty sure it's what it's called.
All right. Well, if you have any other suggestions, you know where to find me.
That's right. You should share that playlist with the folks.
Maybe I will. Maybe
All
I
right.
will.
I like the way that works.
I'm sure there's a B-side collection somewhere on
There is.
in the world of streaming, right? Somewhere.
The Master Plan. I don't know if it's streaming. I know
Is
it
it
was
the
released.
Master Plan? Is that was a B?
I think that's a collection of B-sides.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I for me, it was just about those first two albums, man. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was like, fell
Well,
off the cliff.
You know what's funny is whenever I think of Oasis, I think about how excessive the first single video for "Be Here Now" was when they had like the helicopters and all, and it was like, to me that's like the end of the record industry just dumping money, allowing people to just ignite money on fire to promote the lead single off their
Oh
album.
my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I missed it. I do miss those days.
Rock and roll.
It
All
is
right.
fucking rock. All right, folks. So as always, these songs will appear on our Spotify playlist available in the show notes. You can also follow us on the socials. I'm at Yo That's My John. Bruce is at Some Velvet Blog. Don't forget to check out that Substack. You can hear Bruce every Saturday on WXPN from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can hear me usually on Mondays from 5 to 8 p.m. on Why Not Radio. Plus the Yo That's My John podcast whenever that comes back soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I've recorded an interview for it, but I'm still taking a break. I'm enjoying this break a little too much.
That's good.
I
That's
got
good.
some trips ahead of me that
You know what, dude? You need some breathing room. You know, you're like one of the hardest working people I know in our industry. And plus you have a real job on top, another
Right,
job
yes.
on top of that. So it's like, treat yourself to some time. It's okay. It's okay.
I appreciate that.
You got it.
All right, folks, we will catch you next time. Thanks as always for tuning in.
Yeah.
Too Old, Too New with Nate and Bruce is a Lonely Monk production, produced and hosted by Nate Runkle and Bruce Warren. Please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on your podcast provider of choice. If you have any music you think we should hear, or if you would just like to reach out to us, please feel free to email us at tooldtoonewmusicpod@gmail.com. And as always, thanks, and we will catch you next time.
Leave the truth.